G'day, Bomber fans. Get ready for Thursday night footy. Marvel Stadium, the best stadium in the world, really. The bottom four Bombers will be going up against the up and about Power, I guess. Are they up and about? Who knows? Either way, it's a massive game. Last week, I said the match could dictate the vibe of the season, and that clearly happened. The Crows are now premiership contenders. Essendon are now the worst team of all time. But this week, there is a massive opportunity for the Bombers to come out and say, yes, we're rebuilding. Yes, we're not very good at footy, but we can still challenge and beat good teams in a solid game. I think the Bombers are going to be fired up on Thursday night, and I think this game could be closer than some suspect. So, yeah, there's a lot to prove for the Bombers. We're going to be looking to bounce back and win over some respect, and I think that it's important for us as fans that we go out and give them some support with that. I'm very much on the mindset that you should, if you support them at their best, you should support them at their worst. So if you have tickets, even if you don't, just make sure you get out to the game. And some incentive for you, I will be running a competition because I am attending this week. If you find me in the crowd, I will give you the crispest of high fives. And now I've said that, I reckon Ticketmaster might crash due to overuse, because I know that's all you guys really want from me. No one cares about what I have to say. You guys just want a good, solid high five. Enough yap. Let's get on to the preview with some votes from the Crows game to get through first. Votes from last week. It was the Zach Merritt show. I reckon he might have got 3 votes from everyone that left them in the comments, to be honest. He was so clearly our best. He gets 6 overall, and funnily enough, the rest of the gang all get 2. So Draper got 2 from me, Caldwell got 2 from you, and then we both agreed that Edwards deserves 1 and that Kako was the role player, meaning he gets his first votes as an Essendon player. The overall tally, Merritt now leads on 10 votes, Caldwell not far behind on 8. Those two are really carrying us at the moment. Their shoulders are sore. The rest of the team, it's all 1s and 2s. It's still very early in the year, so keep the votes coming, even after bad results. I appreciate you guys coming out and giving the votes. And by the way, Kako is leading the way for the role player award early. So yeah, cheers guys, keep it up. Okay, Essendon versus Port Adelaide at the most beautiful stadium in the world. Seriously, Marvel Stadium is just a sight to behold. It gives me chills walking through the Marvel themed gates. This is the first game all year away from the G-Frost, by the way, under the beautiful Marvel roof. So after the week that was all that criticism, we have to show up, and we have a great test to really come out and impress against a bogey team, because Port Adelaide have bullied us a bit in recent years. For starters, we haven't beaten them since 2018. They've won the last 8 games against us, and the 2 at Marvel in that time that we played them were both absolute beltings. 59 points in 2018, over 80 points in 2022. I remember that grey Guernsey for that game. So the Power clearly don't mind playing Essendon under the roof anymore. We used to towel them up here, but that was before we were a pretty ordinary club. This year we're 0 from 2, having lost to Hawthorn and more recently in that disastrous Adelaide game. So I think it's pretty clear that we sit around the bottom half of the ladder, whereas Port Adelaide are much tougher to read. Yes, they're fresh off a huge win. They smashed up on Richmond at Adelaide Oval, but you only need to go back a week before that to see danger signs much bigger than the ones we currently have. They almost lost by 100 points to Collingwood. So yeah, neither team here is perfect, to say the least. This could prove to be a massive wake-up call for one of these two sides. Yes, Port are favourites, but we don't actually know if they're a good footy team yet. So let's try and get a sense of the game. What do we have to do to win it, and what are we coming up against? Okay, let's start with Port, because there's a fair bit going on with this team right now. So last year, they were right up there all season. They crumbled in finals. They lost some really important cogs in that system. Dan Houston is a massive loss. And now they're trying to stay in the hunt with what they have, while also battling an injury crisis. So this Port Adelaide team is very makeshift at the moment. I still don't know who's going to be playing where. There's genuinely a possibility that Finlayson plays down back and Radaglia plays up forward, which is really strange to think about if you don't know the club very well. The point is, they're still testing the waters and finding their best 23 to last a year, which means we're playing them at a very good time, because not only are they without guys like Zach Butters and Todd Marshall and some other really good players in the team, but it's the fact that they're now actually looking quite easy to score and transition the footy against. And maybe it's personnel, maybe it's just a list not good enough, but Collingwood's numbers against them in round 1 were damning, not far off Adelaide's numbers in our recent loss. They scored 99 points from turnover. They were plus 17 in inside 50s, despite possession stats being fairly similar. And if anything, conceding that much from a game that in many aspects was actually fairly even around the ground, that shows a defence that is really, really lacking. It shows that if you get on top of Port, you can score against them with ease. And now, I should say, our forward line isn't the greatest right now. We're relying on first and second year players at the moment. but neither is Collingwood's, and they still won by 91 points. I look at this Port Adelaide team in the first 2 weeks that they've played. They have had one big loss followed by a big win. Everyone's forgetting about that Collingwood game because they obviously won against Richmond quite recently. But if I had to guess, I would say that is probably closer to where they are as a club right now. I think this is a team far, far from their best, and it gives us a really good opportunity to exploit that and instill some confidence in our own game if we can get on top of them. I look at Port Adelaide right now, and I really question what area or aspect of their game is going to take them to new heights. Can it be the midfield without Zach Butters for a few weeks? Can it be the forward line without Todd Marshall? Can it be the defence, which has already looked very shaky to start the year, but they've now lost more players to it with injury? I think the problems at Port are not far off the ones at Essendon, because this is a team that is supposed to be contending for a flag. This is a team supposed to be very good, but now, well, we're going to find out a lot about them. If we beat Port, danger signs. That is really, really worrying. And I think this game, I'm going away from the midfield being the most important aspect, and you might think that's silly with the lack of pressure we showed there, but this week I think it is all about transition, because both these teams have showed already that this year they really struggled to hold the fort down post-turnover. We both conceded around 100 points in a match already from turnover alone this year, and that is a really worrying figure, and one that luckily we share in this game. So there are clearly holes in both defences, in both zones and systems, but it's also the way that we've lost those big games. Last week, the Crows moved the ball so effortlessly and hemmed us in. We actually had the least metres gained in the entire comp in round 2, and we still do, by the way. So we weren't getting anything going with our ball movement. That's a very similar story to Port in round 1. In fact, in round 1, they were moving the footy less than us against the Crows. They were the least gained side that round. So both these teams have demonstrated that they not only struggle to defend a moving footy, but really struggle to move it against good teams too. That's the fun thing about this, because one of these teams is set to capitalise on a poor opposition zonal defence. I think it's fair to say many aspects of this game are pretty even on face value. The biggest unknown is which of these two sides can move the ball better and more efficiently than the other while also defending. Because people, they're going to point to Port's win over Richmond. I'm not buying that. That is a very poor team they played. They showed their true colours against the Pies in round 1. I think this is where we can really try and get a leg up, especially on Marvel, which is a ground that just plays faster than the G or Adelaide Oval. Yeah, this is where we really find out about our ball movement that we've praised in the preseason and worked so hard on. We're no longer playing a contender. This is a game where we can start to get things going if we're up for it. No better opportunity than now. And look, let's also just bring up the obvious, but if we want to win, we have to be better than what we were against Adelaide. I actually think if we are up to the round 1 standard, the Hawthorn standard, we win this game of footy. I thought we looked a genuinely decent and competitive side in round 1 against a really good team, but that all went away the week after. So the question now is, which of the two Essendon teams, or which of the two sides of the coin are we more likely to land on? I think this year we've already looked like a good side and a very bad side in just a week after each other. A good side will beat Port at Marvel. I think that's fair to say. Sorry, Port fans, but I'm not afraid of this team as I am for Adelaide or Hawthorn. I think if we show up and display good intensity around the ball and actually have a willingness to defend the footy while it's moving, then we win. I think we've proven that at our best we can beat a team like Port. The issue is, at our worst, we probably lose to Richmond. I seriously think the Crows should have won by more than 100 points. That was one of the worst games I've seen us play in my life. Some of those numbers were genuinely more than alarming. So yeah, really this game comes down to two things. The cleanliness and efficiency we show when transitioning the ball after a turnover, and also the hard and tough work we do around the ball in a contest. We looked so bad in both those areas last week. And against Port, who let's be real, they're a really tough team, that's where we really got to stand up to get the ball in our hands early so we can actually move the footy. Because there's no point us moving the footy well if we're not getting our hands on it. And you look at that Port team, they've got some tough names. Ollie Wines, Willem Drew, Sam Powell-Pepper. This is where we need our tough nuts to really stand up. We need big games from leaders I'd call Sam Durham a leader. We need guys like Caldwell to start bullying. We need Mackay. I'd love Mackay to ragdoll Georgiades around. I would love Draper to really announce himself too at contests. This is where we need blokes not just to play good footy, but tough footy, because there aren't many teams tougher at the ball than Port Adelaide. They're going to be right in the hunt for the contested ball. We need to make sure we're not a step behind them, because that's what we were against the Crows, and it looked horrible. We were on the back foot straight away. To get a fast start, we need to be tough, and we need guys like Durham to really set the tone early. I'd love him to start in the midfield with Caldwell and co. Look, honestly, I think this is a really good matchup. Thursday night footy, it's tough to get out to, but I think there's going to be quite a few people watching this just because it's intriguing. You've got two teams struggling a bit Injuries everywhere, no real proper strengths on show as of yet for either team. This is where one of these teams will find a strength to rely on while they wait for personnel to return, because neither team can win the flag with what they're putting out on the park right now. That isn't a dig, Port fans. You've got some bad injuries. But this is a great depth tester and a great opportunity for young guys to really live up to the moment. How good would it be to see Jones or Caddy or Roberts or someone just own the game? That would make a loss feel so much better, because we're going to be young again this week. Every week we're going to be one of, if not the youngest team on paper in the comp. And I honestly don't care about wins and losses that much this season. I'm not going to be angry if we lose. I'll obviously be upset. I love winning, but I'm not going to be bothered if we lose but display some heart and love for the club and show promising signs. If we go out and lose badly, like we did against the Crows, that is where you'll find me doing a negative Nancy review, because I cannot sit through another game like that. I don't want to be paying flight and accommodation and ticket and bloody beers at Marvel, $100 beers to sit through another mauling. We better show up, because if we don't, I'm going to be absolutely livid. There aren't any excuses this week. There aren't any excuses any week, but this week especially, after what we've seen when we're 100 million steps behind the pace like we were against the Crows, if that happens again, I'm questioning just about everyone in a leadership role at the club. Our list and team on paper is not bad enough to be uncompetitive. So let's look at the changes we'll make, I guess, or predicted changes. Okay, team news. Now this is where we really got to figure some stuff out. So starting with Port, they have to make a few changes as well. They're going to be without Jack Lukosius, Ryan Burton, and Lockie Jones. Some decent players missing. They should be welcoming back Sava Radaglia and Jeremy Finlayson, while also probably including Dylan Williams to the backline as well, but that might not be 100% accurate. It's hard enough to predict one change, let alone three. As for us, we've got some decisions to make. We not only have two players injured, Elijah Sartas and Archie Perkins, they're not going to play, but we've got underperforming players. Now, I don't think there will be 5 or 6 changes, only because our depth right now is probably not deep enough to actually facilitate an axe swing. We've got quite a few injuries. Our 3 emergencies last week were all gameless. But there are questions over guys like Hobbs and Reed and Pryor and probably so many more. I personally wouldn't mind Hobbs or Reed returning to the VFL if it meant they're actually playing in their correct position on correct matchups. You also have VFL boys performing really well. Lewis Hayes in particular is well and truly deserving of an AFL game, and I would love to see him get one. I don't think we're going to be making a change like that. I think we'll probably stick with Reed, and we're also welcoming back Jordan Ridley after that concussion. I think he might replace someone like Jackson Pryor, to be honest. I reckon Will Setterfield could replace Sartas, and maybe Saad El Hawley comes in for Archie Perkins. That's my predicted changes, but we'll see. It is really tricky to predict this week. I would love to see someone nail it. It's going to be tough. It's always hard to predict how a coach is going to go after a loss. I get the feeling no matter what, I'll be making a video on Thursday before the game with quite a bit to talk about the team selection, because I think we're going to have some big calls to make. Let's see what Scott does. I wouldn't mind another debutant. There have been some rumours about Archer Day Wicks. I'm not entirely convinced by that, but we'll see. I've been wrong plenty of times before. All right, so who is going to win this game of footy? I've been tossing this one back and forth all week a little bit. It's really hard to know where both these teams are at the moment. I think whatever happens, we're going to learn a lot about these two teams. It's so early in the year, so that's always the case. Was round 2 a one-off for the club, or is that where Essendon is for the year? I hope not. And same with Port in round 1. Both these teams are so unstable in terms of not only form, but personnel, with injuries running rampant through both. Both have had their challenges already this year. Whoever loses is going to have a really tough season and tougher week. Whoever wins, or they survive another week without scrutiny. And I think if you tip with your head, it is fair to say Port win. They're the bookies' favourites. I guess they're in better form. They're more proven at this stage of their life cycle under Ken Hinkley. But I'm probably going to surprise a few people here, because you guys know I never tip with bias, but I'm actually going to back in the Bombers. I think there is a lot we have to play for here. There is a lot that can definitely go our way in a match like this. I think if we turn up ready to play a hard game of footy, we can win. I wouldn't be surprised if we don't. I wouldn't be overly surprised if we get thumped again. I could see myself looking very silly when I post my review on Friday. But the truth is, it is tough to know what Essendon we're going to see against the Power. But after a tough week with lots of scrutiny, I think there's going to be a fire in the belly. I'm going to tip the Bombers to win by 10 points. I think it could be a close one with momentum switches and surges from both teams. I think before our bye, we'll hopefully leave nothing out there. I'm expecting a hard-fought win, a hard-fought game of footy, and that would be a great result after the week we've just had. And for those wondering, I am 100% with my tips so far this year, for Essendon at least. So that's the win all but guaranteed now, if you ask me. So put the house on it, but also gamble responsibly. Yeah, that is that for the video. Leave your predictions down below. Get out to the game if you can. Come say hi to me in the crowd. I'll be drinking my sorrows away. I picked a weird week to go on a little trip, actually. I planned this quite a while ago and regretting it, but that's okay. I've got nothing planned with the other channels this time, but I will in the future. I'll try and link up with some other Essendon fans. I'm sure you guys want me to see the blokes at Absolutely Essendon again. But yeah, that's all. Cheers for watching. Like, subscribe, and go Bombers.